Hey, fellow knights, welcome back to another video. So, I want to say it's been a few weeks now since I've talked about Doctor Who, and how I was saying that I think I titled it, "Well, is it the end of Doctor Who or Doctor Who getting the boot?" Something like that. I think it was Doctor Who getting the boot, where this pretty much in that video I was saying that this year's Christmas special was supposedly getting the foot, which I'm kind of I'm slightly split because one, I would have loved to have seen what they would have done with the Christmas special, but two, I'm okay with them not doing the one this year just to give them some more time to write a decent story for the future of Doctor Who. I am saying this. The reason why I'm bringing up that canceled Christmas special, because essentially, besides recapping a little bit, is because it seems the whole Doctor Who situation may be getting a tad bit worse, depending on how you see it. Because according to this Geeks and Gamers article, Doctor Who might not return until 2031, which is approximately 5 years from now, give or take. And that's because of no producer wants it, according to this article headline. So, just one day after the BBC announced that Russell T Davies and production company Bad Wolf were leaving Doctor Who, a new report from Deadline suggests that the situation surrounding the long-running sci-fi franchises even worse than many fans realize, and may keep it off the air for many years. This is no longer simply a story about a showrunner departure or a canceled Christmas special. It's a story about the BBC potentially struggling to find anyone willing to take over one of the most famous properties. According to Deadline, Doctor Who could remain off the air until 2028 as the earliest, which is 2 years from now, with some industry insiders suggesting the series could be rested for as long as 5 years. If that happens, the show may not return until 2031. And to be fair, it's what? It took 30-ish years, 20, 30 years before Doctor Who came back on the air from Classic Who to New Who. So I don't think it will be it's not like fans aren't kind of accustomed to waiting a hot minute for Doctor Who to return, but still. Okay. The BBC is probably preparing to put the franchise out of the competitive tender, allowing production companies to pitch their own version for the future of Doctor Who. Under normal circumstances, that would be considered a dream opportunity. Instead, Deadline found a surprising lack of enthusiasm from the very people who would be expected to jump at the chance. The most damaging revelation in Deadline's report come from television producers themselves. One producer bluntly told the outlet, "You'll be mad to take over the struggling franchise." Another described taking over Doctor Who as a bit of a nightmare for any producer in this market, with the shadow of the Disney fallout. This isn't criticism coming from angry fans on social media. This is an industry professional openly questioning whether one of the BBC's most valuable franchises is worth the headache. For decades running, Doctor who would have been considered one of the most coveted jobs in the British television. Today, producers are reportedly looking at the franchise and seeing the potential career risks that should set off an alarm bells at BBC. When Davis returned to Doctor Who, the BBC presented it as a triumphant homecoming. The man credited with reviving the franchise in 2005 was back. Fans were promised a new golden age. Disney came aboard as an international partner. The future supposedly looked brighter than it had in years. Instead, ratings continued to fall following episode after episode of divisive, ideologically driven storytelling. Deadline notes that viewing figures tanked during Davis's last tenure, while one industry source criticized his heading of social and political themes, saying he often approached them with a sledgehammer. Many longtime fans would likely agree. Rather than focusing on the compelling science fiction adventure, memorable monsters, and timeless stories, Doctor Who increasingly found itself embroiled in cultural debates that alienated portions of the audience. The results of the show that generated headlines and struggled to maintain viewers. So the Disney partnership falling apart changed everything. The collapse of the Disney partnership looms over every decision about the franchise future. Disney was supposed to help transform Doctor Who back to the true global powerhouse. Instead, the arrangement ended after just 2 seasons. Now, producers are reportedly questioning how the series can maintain its current scale without Disney's financial backing. Replacing Disney won't be easy, neither will convincing another major international partner to invest heavily into the franchise whose audience has been shrinking. The uncertainty appears one of the major reasons producers are hesitant to take on the project. The most argu- the most remarkable aspect of the deadlines reporting is that it confirms that many fans may be arguing for years. The problem facing Doctor Who is not solved by casting a new doctor, replacing showrunner, or doing another launch. The franchise has spent years hemorrhaging viewers while alienating part of its core audience. Well, now the BBC finds itself searching for someone willing to rebuild their brand from the ground up, and according to Deadline reporting, that search may prove far more difficult than expected. The possibility that Doctor Who could be off the air until 2031 would have seemed unthinkable just a few years ago. Today, it's just being openly discussed because the BBC appears to have reached a point where even industry producers are questioning whether taking on the franchises for the risk. That may be the most damaging verdict on the Russell T Davis era yet. So I think it's this, because I know there's gonna be like people, some people in the Geeks and Gamers community, some not, who are going to say, "Oh, Doctor Who is dead," because last few Doctors, Jodie Whittaker and the Black Doctor, was so bad. But I think there's hope for Doctor Who yet. Yes, Doctor Who, current Doctor Who is not as good as it was when I first started, but I don't see it having zero chances to bounce back. I think if they have a good head on their shoulders and get their shit together, then I genuinely think Doctor Who will have a good chance of returning. Like back to where it was when it came back originally 21 years ago. And even to the point where it could be where like it could be the franchise to take over, like how Star Wars was like George the Lucas era Star Wars was. Like pretty much it dominating the world. It essentially could be the Michael Jackson of the franchises again. Or for once, if they have a good head on their shoulders and focus on the story and not so much like sure pandering, just focus on the story. And if a story does call for like maybe a gay couple, then go for it. I know some people might say, "How do you say if the story calls for a gay couple?" I'm saying if the story calls for it. I'm not saying go out of your way to make a story surrounding a gay couple or someone who's coming out. I'm just saying if the story calls for it and you think it could be a very if you have the capability of making that a very compelling story, then do it. Just don't bash it in people's heads saying, "Oh, if you don't like this, then you're like being a homophobe or whatever." But I do think Doctor Who has a chance of returning to its glory. I genuinely do. And I don't know if I said this before, maybe I'll make a whole video about this in the future. I genuinely do think that there should be this underlining rule now where I think this would have been always an underlining rule where people who were companions should not be able to play the Doctor and vice versa. Because we got what Billy Piper, who played Rose Tyler, came back as the hologram talking to the wartime doctor in Doctor Who. In the Day of the Doctor, I mean. And I'm not saying that she's a horrible actress. I've only really seen Billy Piper in Doctor Who and Wednesday season 2. And I like her as an actress. I like Rose Tyler. But even though I like both characters, I respectfully would have casted someone else to play the Doctor. And don't you guys dare think I'm only targeting Billy Piper, because I'm saying this with even the Jenna Coleman, Karen Gillan, the girl who played Billy, even like the actresses who played the Doctor's previous companions. Even if the girl who played Sarah Jane Smith was still alive, I would say don't. I would not want her to play the Doctor. Not because of the actors or actresses. Even though the male, like the boyfriends of the companions, I wouldn't want them to necessarily play the Doctor, because I do think there should be this sacred thing where companions and the companions of the companions per se should not be able to play the Doctor. Peter Capaldi was the only person who played a supporting character before, technically two. Um, the guy in Pompeii and another character in Torchwood, where yeah, he did play the Doctor, the 12th Doctor, but he wasn't a companion. So like that's my only thing is I wish they would have casted someone else to play the Doctor besides Billy Piper. Granted, I would if they do come up with a season of Billy Piper's Doctor, I will watch it. My only complaint with the current Doctor Who, like last season of current Doctor Who, that's like a major complaint that I don't really see many people complaining about. If this is other complaint, is and maybe also make this into a video too, because I can see this creating a good discussion too. The doctor's granddaughter, Susan. They teased Susan in the last season. I want to say like at least 4 times. 3, 4 times they teased Susan. And one of those times, the last time that I can remember, was the actual actress who played Susan. Like, could she be alive? I think they were trying to play that she is alive. Why didn't we get anything more than that? She is the doctor's granddaughter. She can easily regenerate if need be. Cool. Yeah, I would love to get the original actress to play Susan to come back. But if she can't for whatever reason, because I know she's up there in age, they can easily recast the doctor's granddaughter, and they have a built-in excuse, regeneration. So like that's my one major complaint. Is like they tease Susan, but they're not willing to like use her. Like what the fuck? And assuming that we have to wait like 2 to 5 years for Doctor Who to return, or even longer, are they going to do like what we did with the eighth and ninth Doctor, have them essentially like regenerate off screen? Granted that the eighth Doctor regenerated into the wartime Doctor, which we got this little special about years later, and then like towards the end of the other Doctor, it was heavily hinted. I want to say towards the end, that the wartime Doctor was regenerating into the ninth Doctor. So like, but taking those two things away temporarily, because we didn't always have those. If you get my meaning, when we got Doctor Who again, we didn't get the regeneration between the eighth to the wartime to the ninth, mostly because the and wartime Doctor didn't exist back in that day. So like, if we have to wait for that long, are we going to get Billy Piper's Doctor to regenerate into someone else? And if that's the case, what the hell was the point of even having like Billy Piper come back to play the Doctor? It was like a waste of her time. So I don't know. That's how I feel. There's a lot of things that I feel like they should like tie up, and I do feel like Billy Piper deserves at least an episode or two to really play the Doctor. But with that said, what do you guys think? Are you guys happy about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. Talk to you fellow knights later.